Welcome to Lesson 1. Lesson 1 is all about what is research. And in this lesson, our objectives are to define research and apply its definition to real life application. First of all, why do we need to conduct research? There are many reasons why do we need to conduct research. It could be like in business, all right? You could have in business area, for example, business. For example, what are the buyer's preference for cell phone? Or it could be, for example, in education. Like what is the best method of teaching to, or the effectivity, for example, of internet in in studying. Or for example, you have the medical field. The most famous right now is finding the vaccine for coronavirus. All right? Or it could be about psychological, meaning why do people in psychology, like why do people behave in that way? Psychology is the study of behavior. Why do people behave that way? So research could be found in not only in these four, but everything that what we do. Maybe for example in social media. Social media means Facebook, Twitter, alright? Even you are interested, for example, of the number of or what is the most like post that you have. So that one you're gonna do research about it. But what is the formal definition of research? Since we find it anywhere, what is the formal definition of research? If for example we Google a word, does it mean that it's already a research? If we look at the books, for example, when we go, for example, to the library, when we go, for example, to the library and take notes, all right, take notes. Does it mean that we are doing research already? Well, it could be part of research, but it's not wholly the research. What is research all about? For us to be able to understand what is research all about, let's try to have that example of the vaccine for the coronavirus. Many countries are actually studying on what is the best vaccine for coronavirus, and they look at how effective or the effectivity of the vaccine that they made against the coronavirus. We know about we know that vaccine is needed. We know that one. That's a part of knowledge because there are many vaccines that's readily made available now. We know about the coronavirus. But then what we are trying to know right now is that can this vaccine kill that coronavirus? Can it cure the coronavirus? That is a wonderful question. Can it cure, not can it cure, but can it kill the coronavirus? Can it kill the coronavirus? Okay? It's actually a very wonderful question. Of course, in our study, we're not going to study about medical research because it's beyond our capabilities. But then, what am I trying to show? What am I trying to say is that we know this quantity. We know this. We know about vaccine. Okay, because there are many vaccines that has been made before. So we have an idea of this vaccine. Right now, we have now some uh, ideas about coronavirus after 5 months of its existence. Unlike 5 months ago, it's totally nothing because China is actually keeping the information. What is the purpose now of the research? As you can see, you have here the bridge. And this bridge is actually as you can see, it's blank. It's a blank of information. That is what we call gap of information. There is a gap between the two. There is a gap of information. And if we would be able to fill in that gap, if we would be able to fill in that gap, then it means that we have found the vaccine for coronavirus. And that is the purpose of research. The purpose of research is to fill in that gap. Fill in the gap. The gap between what we know about the vaccine and what we know about the coronavirus. So meaning there is the gap of knowledge. Fill in the gap of knowledge. That is really, really important. You have two different bodies of knowledge that you know, and then you are trying to fill in that information. So what is research there? If you want to fill in information, any type of research, okay, it needs to be number one. Research should be scientific or systematic. What do you mean by systematic? Taken from the word system. If there is a system, it means that there is a step by step. Okay? You make a plan. It's well planned. You are dividing each part into different, you're dividing it into several pieces. Dividing the problem into pieces. Okay? So a mere googling of information is not considered research. All right? It should be systematic. What else? It should be organized. That's another important thing. Research is systematic. Research is organized. All right? Research is organized in a way that you actually, it's like what do you call this one? Because you're following the system, okay, you document it. You keep track of the progress. Okay? Keep track of the progress. So that later on you can verify the result. Okay? So it should be organized. All right? What else? It should be objective. Like, research contains objective analysis. What is objective analysis? By the word itself, objective meaning to say no bias. What do you mean by that? For example, Russia is the first country who actually manufactured the vaccine. They call it Sputnik V5, for example. But then, how come it's like, is it objective? Maybe not. Why? Because if Russia started to politicize the coronavirus or the making of vaccine, Russia wants to show that they are superpower. Russia wants to show that they are ahead of all the countries. Okay? And because of that, even their vaccine has just passed the third clinical trial, for example. And even though their vaccine is not yet certified by World Health Organization, then they're saying that it's effective. They're saying that they've filled in this gap. But here is WHO telling Russia, go to make a further investigation. So, is it objective? No, because you politicize it. If, for example, let's say you ask your mom, "Ma, am I beautiful?" Of course, your mother will tell you that you are beautiful because you are her daughter, right? But then, when someone asks you, when you ask other people in random, "Am I beautiful?" Well, maybe they will say you're beautiful if you're really beautiful. Okay? Like, there's a bias for it. Another example, let's say you're making a survey for milk tea. Okay, survey for milk tea. You make a milk tea. And then you ask your friend, is it delicious? Your friend says, yeah, it's delicious. But actually, for your friend, it's not delicious. It's just like your friend doesn't like you to lose your face. Okay? So that is not objective. There's a bias in it. But then if you ask other people, then they would say, you know what? It's too much sweet. It's too sweet. Then that one is not bias. Okay? So in making a research, we make sure that there's no bias. We make sure that it's systematic. We make sure that it's organized. We make sure that everything is objective. Focus to the research problem. Okay? And what is the end goal of research? That's very important. What is the end goal of research? In this case, we want to find out a clear vaccine. So therefore, we would like to have conclusion. Okay? That's the end goal. We would like to have, for example, like a generalization. It's almost the same with conclusion or generalization. We want to have, for example, a principle, a strong principle that this one, if you see this one, this is what you're going to do. It has been tested principle. Maybe you are making theory. You know what I mean? Like a belief. So you are testing a theory. So that is the aim of the research. All right? So again, just to summarize, research is a process of finding or filling in the gap of knowledge between two existing knowledge. It is systematic, organized, and objective. All right? And the end goal of the research, once we filled in the knowledge, is that we want to make a conclusion, we want to make a generalization, we want to make principle, we want to make theory. All right? That's all for this video. See you on the next part of the video.